How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Red Pill Thursday. And I am right here, and I'm wearing the red, and we're going to have a little talk. I've got an intro, and I wanted to start with this today, and it's consistent with what I wrote to many of you today. Some of you may recognize what I'm going to say, or at least parts of it, but it needs to be said. This is not the blow smoke up your ass channel. This is the not tell you you're doing everything right channel. This is the not I'm a God channel. I'm just a fallible man, but I'm not a stupid man. You are not stupid people. But I think this is important, and so I'm going to say these things, and you, please get your comments down below, because we're going to have another big talk, folks. A lot of interesting things. Now, if you watch yesterday's broadcast on YouTube, it could be perceived as, well, rather shocking. I was raised and educated to believe that Nazis were 100% evil, and that the Holocaust was the murder of 6 million Jews. Even thinking, daring to question either of those statements, even just thinking about that was difficult for me years ago to question it. And it was even heartbreaking, right, for me to have to do that. You know, it's heartbreaking for everyone who died in World War II, not just the Jews. Believe me when I say I'm no Nazi. Nazis were socialists, believing in 100% authoritarian style of government. Socialism. I select freedom every time someone asks me what I am. I'm into freedom. But I have learned for decades, folks, we are lied to at every level about the facts. I have learned that Americans and British bankers funded and supported Hitler, and that American corporations sold essential war materials to the Nazis. Why would they do that? Why would they support Hitler? You can find out. While learning the facts and truth not shared by historians and governments wanting to use the war as propaganda for control, folks, mind control, I was shocked and repeatedly shocked as I learned more and more over these last several decades. And to be honest, it hurt me deeply, because the way we were propagandized in school was 50% lies, and they used 50% truth to make us believe the lies. And after their propaganda was printed in books and spewed by teachers, we, all of us, were tricked, because they were supposed to be the authority, and we expected them to be honest. And hell, even the teachers were probably propagandized and lied to. Well, they, meaning everybody in authority, lied often about everything and created a false reality, a fake world that we were expected to believe, kind of like a type of matrix that you can wake up from. And even after we hear bits and pieces, and we learn, and we know they are lies they're telling us, but revealing those lies results in what? Personal attacks and even violence. I have learned a lot of truths and facts. Yes, I have. And you can find and prove that what is out there, the truth, is verifiable. But because the world wasn't ready, I have kept quiet and kept a lot of it to myself. But everything right now is changing, folks, as the big red pill is being administered. Some people swallow the pill. Other people require a suppository and get kicked in the ass. But the world is waking up either way. It is extremely difficult to share ideas and researched facts with an audience, friends, family, coworkers, that is going to hate me for it. For those who will wonder if I'm full of shit and those who will reject me because of the strength of the brainwashing that we all received. If I kick my own ass learning stuff, if I get mad at myself when I find out the truth, how can I expect anyone else to have a completely normal, calm reaction? Truth, facts are shocking, especially when they're 180 degrees opposite of what we were told by recognized authorities. And the use of guilt and social pressure, my friends, is incredible. The threats and punishments are real and quickly make themselves apparent if you step up and speak the truth, or at least speak your opinion. So I suppose, having lived I guess I have. I have lived a very full and adventurous life, and it has prepared me. This is going to be a litany of bullshit here. Actually, it's fact. This is all fact. This is not bullshit. Someone might say all these things and be thought of as a bullshitter. I've got the fucking scars to prove it. I've been run over, dragged down a dirt road. I've been shot and hit, and I've been hit with many ricochets. I've been beaten, kicked, stomped, crushed, choked, and knocked the fuck out. I've been stabbed, cut up, abused, betrayed, and robbed. I've lost literally millions of dollars in equity through fraud and lies, and I've been cut off, debanked, and disowned, even by some of my family. So I guess I can keep fighting, yes? Speaking up is hard, folks. Believe me on that. But it has to be done. Someone has to speak the facts, share their own personal truths, and it's up to everyone to decide what to do with it. The nature of reality has to be explored, and it needs to be revealed, and it should be compared to the status quo and their versions of reality. I want to thank all of you for supporting me through all these times, even when the truth is an inconvenient obstacle, and abandoning those seeking these truth tellers. Yeah, it's easier path to abandon them, to abandon the whole idea of waking up. I get it. Look, I don't begrudge anyone for not wanting to set aside their beliefs and their programming and look deep into oneself and then make changes, right? I'm going to keep being a fucking hard charger because that's what I am and always have been. And I pray the assholes in social media don't kill all the Prepared Mind channels, and I can fulfill my personal mission to wake up the sleeping giant. The sleeping giant, that's the millions who are good people who have been hypnotized and lulled into this complacency, believing nothing matters. It doesn't matter. That they don't matter. That they are powerless. And I believe in people, though, and that there's something better for all of us, for everyone. And I'm going to keep doing what I do and fight to make it happen. Thank you guys very much for that. And now on with the rest of the show. Okay, folks, we keep hearing that Israel is not controlling the United States. We keep hearing that, don't we? Yes, we do. We keep hearing it. Oh, that's bullshit, John. That's not the way it works. Well, I think that it actually is. And I'm going to see if I can get my my act together here. Where are we at? There we are. Oh, this is just a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful. There's this thing, and it's called the World Jewish Congress. Have you ever heard of that? The World Jewish Congress. I thought that they're not doing anything. They're not out there. Jewish World Congress decides it's going to threaten any candidates in the United States of America that are anti-Zionist. This is what the leader of the World Jewish Congress said. We are going to target you. Any candidate whose platform includes anti-Semitism we will target them. This is Ronald S. Lauder, the president of the World Jewish Congress. So how is he going to do that? How is he going to target them? Well, with money. They're going to get involved in American politics. Isn't that election interference from a foreign body? I don't think there's a World Jewish Congress that's part of the United States of America. And people go, oh, they can't influence everything. They're billionaires, and they're using their wealth to control politicians. Why? Why can they not just be good people and we see them for that? Instead, they tell us that the genocide they're committing isn't genocide. The same way the Muslim radical terrorists tell you they're not going to kill you while they're stabbing you and cutting your head off, right? Any candidates whose platform includes anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, what is that? What is that? Anti-Semitism is anything that anyone wants to claim as anti-Semitism for the purpose of shutting you up. Ms. Rachel, who I have seen over the years on television, she's like a grown-up Punky Brewster, if you know the Punky Brewster TV show. Right? She grew up, and she says, all children's lives matter. That's anti-Semitic. Didn't you know that? Are you fucking kidding me? That's anti-Semitic? Saying all children's lives matter? How is that anti-Semitic? How is that anti-Israel? Unless it conflicts with a legitimate, real, upfront Israeli military program of killing all children. Because if you accept it and agree that all children's lives matter, you can't go kill the children. So now it's an anti-Semitic statement. That is the mental gymnastics you've got to fucking go through in order to become that. And this is the World Jewish Congress, or Jewish World Congress. Any other organization saying these things, wow. The Chinese said this, right? Imagine if China said any candidate whose platform includes talking bad about China, we're going to target you. Really? What if Russia said that to American politicians? If you speak out against Russia, we're going to target you. You'd be scared to death. And don't think that people aren't scared to death by the Jewish World Congress or the World Jewish Congress, whatever the fuck it is. Folks, understand. We are now revealing the puppet masters who used to be out of our sight. We just saw the left and the right. We saw Republicans here and Democrats there. And we looked at them and go, well, who's in charge? Because they fight each other, then they're on the same side. They do the same damn things. But they all seem to serve one master. They seem to do evil things. They'll do two good things and one evil thing. Well, we do more good than bad. Sorry, evil is evil. You don't get a fucking pass. Crazy world, folks. Are you ready for more? Now, someone who's at the forefront of taking a lot of heat for red pilling America is a very young man. I'm going to call him a young man because, well, compared to me, he's young. But I read this years ago, and we even talked about it. It was just one more tiny piece of the SHTF world that we talk about. When the stats started coming out, when my kids were in high school, they're Gen Z. They came right after the millennials, but Gen Z. They said, look out. These kids, this Gen Z generation is hyper conservative. Of course, there's plenty of hyper woke, dumbass motherfuckers, but the conservatives on the Gen Z side are so conservative, they don't give a fuck. My younger son is a sterling example of someone who doesn't give a fuck and is very successful. Not at not giving a fuck, but in life. But he does not compromise his values. And I love him for that. So we got this Nick Fuentes guy who sits in a chair, much like mine, in front of a green screen. When I sit in front of a green screen, much like mine, the studio picks. And he talks about things that are important to him. And he disavows all the bullshit. He cuts through all the crap. And he says what he thinks based on what he's seen. And he says it the way he wants to say it. Not sprinkled with horse shit and fucking little sugary sprinkles like those ones on the donuts, trying to impress people. He just cuts through the shit. So this came out, and this is I believe this is a quote that I snipped off of Nick Fuentes' X post. And it says that 2 days before Nick went on Piers Morgan, we had advice for him. And this is what he wrote. I simply do not give a fuck what may or may not have happened to any ethnic or religious minority group anywhere in history if the reason you're bringing it up is to censor or stifle the discourse in this present year. Translation? That's the past. Why are you using that to manipulate me today? I don't give a fuck. Interesting, huh? Gen Z. They say it like it is. Now, let's continue with the Fuentes' thoughts. That being said, of course, any human tragedy is a tragedy. Oh, wait a minute. He actually has empathy. But let's just ignore that and continue. But if you're using that tragedy to intimidate people and informally censor the discourse, I take the rhetorical position of callous indifference. See what he's doing here? He's saying, look, if I catch you trying to fuck with me, playing logical fallacies, illogical crap, I'm going to go the opposite way just to piss you off and not give a fuck, being callously indifferent. If not outright denial and approval, he says, just to undercut just to undercut the emotional and moral blackmail inherent in bringing it up. It is. It's emotional blackmail. It's blackmail. It's intellectual blackmail. It's intellectual dishonesty, and it's bullshit. Logical fallacies. So he says, hey, broke Holocaust denialism. That's what it is. Holocaust denialism, right? Horrible tragedy. I simply do not care, says Fuentes. It has no bearing on my opinions or anything in the here and the now. I find those statements very fascinating. Very fascinating. Is he wrong? Should we or others use history as a guide and weapon to silence others? Or do we use history to open up the dialogue and ask more questions, which is what I try and do? Because I say, hey, just don't take my opinion. Don't take my word for it. Don't believe me because I said this is my research that I found. Look it up for yourself. You can just listen to me for entertainment and take it at face value for what it is. That's just this one guy had this opinion. Or you can go look it up yourself and do the hard work and go, holy shit, and learn for yourself, right? For example, should we talk about Andrew Jackson's stance on Native Americans? Yes, we should. And when people do, they're like, oh my God, he was a giant asshole. He killed a bunch of Native Americans. Well, should we deny, right? Should we deny that wrongs were committed by the government? No, we shouldn't deny it. We should talk about it, though. But we have to ask the questions if we're going to be honest, right? Were the natives also bad players? Well, yes, of course. But we can't condemn one side and not the other. And this happened a long time ago, right? So what is happening today? We should look at what's happening today and see the historical mirroring, right? The rule should be learning from history, not repeating it. But that's what keeps happening. We keep having repeats of history because the same games are being played. The same tricks, the same brainwashing, the same propaganda. All through history, humans are told a lie and then told that's the bad guy and then told you need to go fight and kill them. Whoops, right? The rule should be citing history and then leaving it in its calendar year and doing our best to make today on all of our own personal calendars a better place. The rule should be to expose this manipulation. which I think Fuentes and many others are doing. Expose the manipulation when someone uses history, and especially a fake history. And we need to inform and educate that person, right? And all listening and learning facts. And after using all manner of logic and reasonable thinking, we can come to reasonable decisions about what is being done to us today. Right? We should know who our enemies are, the puppet masters. We should know their devices and tricks, using money, lying about history, playing on our emotions, making threats. We'll come after you and target you, right? Now, after we've done all that thinking and coming to the right conclusions, after all that, if all else fails, then let the chips and the brass fall where it may, because that's where this all leads. I refuse to accept surrender of my will, folks. My will. It's mine to have, mine to determine. It's my life, just like you. We all have that right inherent in us, yet many people surrender it the moment they hear a sad story, or they hear a threat, or they see what happened to someone else for daring to question. I refuse to accept my will, folks, and my soul to those who value neither, folks, nor appreciate facts and truth, but instead they believe their indoctrination. They believe the propaganda. They believe the lies because someone in their life or some charismatic leader that they follow told them, this is what you believe. I don't believe any fucking thing Nick Fuentes said because Nick Fuentes said it. Or Piers Morgan, if Piers Morgan said it. Or Tom Brokaw. Or Walter fucking Cronkite. I don't believe what they said because they said it. I believe, if I choose to, what they say based on what they say and how it jives with actual reality. It's just me. But I'm not going to surrender my will, my thoughts, my soul to anyone who, they don't value and appreciate us. Right? So instead, right, they believe their indoctrination, propaganda, lies, and then they use their lies and beliefs and then their threats to silence and use them as an excuse to harm others in this world. And that's what they're doing. These people in the top, these puppet masters, they're going to continue to do their thing that's always worked for them until it doesn't. And there's one people out there who have managed to piss off 109 different nations, or should I say at different times, differing nations, but 109 times. Does that tell you that the problem is all the countries around the world? Or could it be that this one specific people have done something to piss off the entire nation so badly that they were asked to leave? Right? Just like a guy who goes to a bar and every woman he walks up to, he does something and they either slap him or throw a drink in his face. After 2 or 3, you're probably wondering, well, what is this guy doing wrong? Doesn't seem very nice. Everyone's slapping him and throwing drinks in his face. And then you ask the first couple of girls, why'd you do that? And they tell you, he's a fucking lying asshole. He's a jerk. He threatened me. He tried buying me as a prostitute, whatever the thing was, right? And they're like, I'm not putting up with that. So then you continue to watch this guy walk around this giant bar, this rave. And every single time the girl throws a drink in his face or slaps him, sometimes both. After 109 times, there's no reason to believe anything other than that guy is a fucking asshole. And he has earned it every single fucking time. But then he walks up to you and he's like, man, I don't get it. I'm special. I'm chosen. Everyone should serve me. In fact, I'm going to dominate and rule everybody. Wow. Why are we in SHTF and being invaded right now, folks? Our country. Why are we in shit hits the fan? And why are we being invaded? It's because of liars and sellouts. Right? It's naked prostitution and it's also bullshit. Our politicians are selling us out. They're selling out our country, the law, They're selling out the people and our currency. They're selling out our military, our children even, because they want money and they don't care. Their souls are black. Now, you stand for what's right or you don't stand at all. Uman's calling it extremely toxic tolerance. Yeah, by tolerating all this bullshit, all you do is encourage it. And so it starts here and then it gets worse. Abuse, verbal, financial, then physical abuse, and then ultimately murder, death, kill, slavery, rape, etc. That's what tolerance gives you. And toxic tolerance is taking it way too far. Interesting term. Thank you, Moo Man. You are a brilliant gentleman and philosopher. Now, stand for what's right or do not stand at all. During the Rodney King riots, I was down in I lived down in the Sacramento area. I was there for something. I can't remember what it was, but I was in Sacramento and I was in this area called Florin. And there's this thing called the Florin Mall. And at the time, the Florin Mall was thriving. And there was a man standing on the corner. And I've told this story numerous times on this show because it's about integrity. It's about doing and standing for what you believe in. But this guy was standing there. And I look at him. He's wearing a pair of blue jeans. He's got a pink knit Izod shirt on and a fucking cowboy hat. And he's holding a big cardboard sign that says, stand for what's right or don't stand at all. What he was objecting to and being very nice about it. He wasn't flipping people off. He wasn't attacking. He was just telling everybody that drove by, you've got to stand for what's right or do not stand at all. So I think he was making a very clear message, dressing like a white preppy guy in a pink shirt, but with blue jeans like a working man and a fucking cowboy hat, and he was black. Right? Stop the bullshit, right? Stand for what's right or do not stand at all. Quite interesting, folks. Really, really interesting. I want to hear your thoughts down below, if you will. I really need you to do that. I'm going to tell you another thing about something that just happened today. A representative, a government representative in the state of all states, Kentucky, not New York, not California, not Illinois or Minnesota. No. Kentucky. So this representative, her name is Sarah Stalker, says white children need the opportunity to feel bad about their skin color in grade school from kindergarten through 12. They need to feel bad about themselves because she says she feels bad about being white. That's right. White kids need to feel bad about their skin color, something they have no control over. In their house growing up, they're just people. But then they get to school, and this lady, Sarah Stalker, a Kentucky representative, wants children to feel bad because they are who they are, having done nothing wrong, having no ties to the past. Right? I'm going to tell you, who is this lady? Why is she saying this? What thinking? Where did her thinking come from? Well, I'll tell you what. All you've got to do is take a wild guess, and you'll figure it out. You really will. You'll figure it out. And I'll see, I got a few more seconds here. Today, Russia was attacked by Zelensky in Ukraine. An oil tanker, a Russian oil tanker was struck by Ukraine, set on fire, sunk. How much oil spilled out into the Black Sea? How much oil? Where's that oil going to go? I'll tell you where it's going to go. It's going to flow all over. It's going to cover the rocks. It's going to kill fish. It's going to kill birds. It's going to stink. It's going to rot. It's going to be fetid. And then it's going to wash out the Black Sea down the river, because the Black Sea goes through a river that goes through Turkey and then out into the Mediterranean. So the riverbanks of Constantinople, or Istanbul, if you will, are going to be covered in black goo, and then it's going to flow into the Mediterranean. And everyone thinks this is fucking cute. Yeah, Zelensky stuck it to him. This is what Zelensky did. Right? Now, is blowing up and causing a major ecological disaster, is that going to hurt Putin? Is it going to kill Putin? Is it going to stop Putin? Does the Z-Fag man think he will defeat Putin this way? The moron should surrender and hope he lives and then go hide somewhere quietly for the rest of his life if he can. Trump did something interesting today. I saw it reported that Larry Fink of BlackRock, the world's largest corporation, was brought in to try and convince Zelensky to surrender. It would not surprise me if Larry Fink doesn't say, hey, look, I control massive amounts of wealth and I can bring a lot of business to Ukraine. All you've got to do is quit, and I'll make sure that, Ukraine is taken care of. Zelensky doesn't give a fuck about Ukraine. He cares about his life and not losing it for failing to defeat Russia, even though the United States, sadly, Israel, sadly, Europe, sadly, all provided Zelensky and the Ukraine military with all kinds of weapons, including tanks, including jets, including short-range missiles, long-range missiles, technology, satellites, everything. They still lost and are losing, and losing badly, and losing more all the time. He's worried about getting killed. He didn't give a fuck about Ukraine. Look at all the shit he's blown up. Look at all of his own people he's killed. That's who Zelensky is. That's who these people are. They want to believe their story only. They're only going to tell their side of the story and hope everyone believes it. But the world is waking up. Not Europe, though, because of the puppet masters controlling the European politicians of the European Union. Unelected politicians of the European Union who are dictating to the entire continent, even the world, and making threats. Remember, just yesterday it was reported that the European Union is threatening to dump all of their United States government treasury bonds unless the United States continues to fund the Ukraine war. And then lo and behold, I think I saw that, yeah, they're going to get more funding too. How is that peaceful? Quite interesting stuff. Quite interesting stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the show over to you guys. Let's go to the inner circle. Your questions, your thoughts. And we're back. Let's see. Let's do the hate mail section first. Christy, it's the Bahana, and she says, I've been trying to understand all this crap and studying history and the good book. Be careful, John. The more you dig, the more it's going to hurt. And yes, I get it. I understand. I've been, trying to understand. Let me do this. Let's do it. This is a great topic, Ms. Bahana. If you're watching a football game and you don't know the rules, it makes no sense. You got people running around the field. They stop, they start, they beat the shit out of each other. Someone throws a flag in the air. They move things around. They're chasing a ball. They throw it, they kick it, they run with it. Makes no sense. So you say, okay, look, if someone just tells me the rules, I'll get it. So someone tells you one rule. If you run out of bounds, it stops the clock. Does that help you understand the game? Does that explain everything there is to know? Absolutely not. So you go to the next person and go, I don't understand the game. Can you explain it to me? And they tell you two rules. Well, if you throw the pass and the guy catches it, he can run. But if you throw the pass and he drops the ball and it touches the ground, the play is over. The clock stops and you go back to where you started. Oh, well, that answers everything. No, it doesn't. Right? Couple of rules right? Understanding 3 or 4 things about a given situation that is complex does no good. But that's what the mainstream media does. That's what the politicians do. That's what the history books say. They tell you a couple of things and leave out the rest of the facts, the rest of the rules, the rest of the history, a lot of the important stuff, because they have a very narrow belief system. They want you to know, follow, and support. Uman says it hurts more to not know and believe and live a lie. Well, you know, there's the old saying, Uman, ignorance is bliss. Is it? Is it? For some, yes. If ignorance is easier, if you don't want to take the time, for a myriad of reasons, if you don't want to learn, right? If you don't want to know, gnosis, Gnosis, if you don't want to know, then it's easier, right? To believe a lie, live a lie. It's easy. Well, isn't there another saying? The best things in life don't come easy. But yeah, for some, ignorance is bliss and it's easy, so they do it and they go that way. A lot of other people will stand off and go, okay, you got 2 people over there and you got 20 people over there. And these 20 people say the 2 people are wrong. So false reality, logical fallacy. Well, the consensus is, the vast majority says, well, who told the 2 what they know and who told the 20 what they know? You can't know. You can't understand unless you go ask them. Hey, 20 people, what do you know? Everything we were taught in school. Hey, 20 people, what about current events, not history? Everything the mainstream media tells us. Okay, that's where you got your information, you 20 people. You go over to the 2 people. And you say, okay, 2 people, what do you know? And they start telling you this and this and this and that and this and that and the other and the other. Well, wait a minute. Did you learn in school the same thing those other people did? Well, yeah. Yeah, we went to school. We're not dummies. Then why are you saying things different than them? Well, because we listened to the mainstream media just like the 20, but it didn't quite fit. It didn't quite sound right. So we researched, we studied, we went out, we talked to people, we did interviews, and we discovered that most of reality, most of life, most of what's happening is contradicts the mainstream narrative. Well, some people will go, okay, great. That's good, John. Nice analogy, buddy. Good job. You get a fucking cookie, John. Well, that's secularism. Oh, when you combine faith, woof, right? Someone's going to, their faith. Don't you challenge their faith. Well, ultimately, shouldn't it be about God? Well, is God good or is God evil? Well, Satan is evil. So we all support God. We all want to be good, right? But there's different versions of God around, right? Oh, yeah, there's different versions of God everywhere. Let's see. Let's just start with some of my favorites. Some of the most notables. Well, the Muslim God is Allah. He says you can have sex with little girls. That version that says, you can kill people and cut their heads off if they don't believe in my word and the way I say you should live. And that's what all it says, right? Well, does that sound like a good God to you? So then you go over here to this other group and you say, what God do you like? Well, our God, he's a good guy. No, okay, great. Well, what are some of the rules? What are some of the tenets that you live by? Well, you can have sex with children. Well, wait a minute. This is starting to sound like the other story. We're superior to everyone else. And God loves us, this one group of people. And everyone else is fucked. They're not good. They're inferior. They're slaves. They're cattle. They're meat. Well, wait a minute. That God that you're talking about, that you claim is good, is only good to a certain number of people. Well, how do you guys become? How do you become this? Why did he choose you? Well, because of my DNA, they say. Because I belong to this group. Oh, so it has nothing to do with whether or not you're moral and decent, and it's only for a few and not for everyone else. That's correct. That's correct. And that's it. We can kill you, your animals, we can steal from you, we can rape you, whatever. That's who we are. You see why it hurts more to know and it's easier to live a lie, because you don't want to ask those questions and find out the answers. Right? The concept of God, to me, is one that's good to everybody and gives everyone a chance and says everyone's equal. All you got to do is be a good person, live by the golden rule. So then you go, okay, you've got these two groups we just met, and they don't seem to have a very good God, do they? And then you find out that those groups are bribing, blackmailing, extorting politicians so they can control government. They can control nations. They bribe. They pay off media. So media tells people what to believe. So you look to this one and it's telling you something that doesn't make any sense. You look to this one and it's telling you something that doesn't make any sense. But if you don't believe them because they're not making any sense, you've got to go find the information on your own. It's a lot of work. You can go to people that you find to be reasonably intelligent, and I recommend you still check. But the lies are so big, and they've been going on for so long, that it becomes incredibly disturbing to learn the facts and the truth, to find out that you're being manipulated and lied to, and that your faith, even as a Christian, your faith has been skewed by people who have corrupted what it is you think you believe by adding their own pieces and taking other pieces away. It's a weird world. And the red pill, my friends, it's hard to choke down. It truly is. I like I said, it took me a long time to figure a lot of things out to my satisfaction. But I did, I when I was young, when I was younger, started in my 20s when I started my research, I would go ask people that I knew, people that I trusted. My mom, my dad, my friend, my dad's friends, right? My uncles, coworkers. I would ask them, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And you know what they told me? They told me, some of them, exactly what I wanted to hear. Others told me what they believed. But just a few of them had something to say, like, the truth that you're looking for is not what you think it is. You've got to go find for yourself. You've got to look it up. You'll find clues and they'll lead you from here to there. But you can find the truth. And so now, good or bad, it's very difficult. Right? Very difficult to be that person that looks for their own truth in something. And then they just call you a conspiracy theorist. A lot of this stuff I researched is for personal entertainment. Who is this group? What is that group? What does this government do? What was that war about? Did they actually fly to the moon? 57 years ago, did they go to the moon? Oh, before they landed on the moon, they flew around it, folks. Back in, 1967, 68? I think it was 68, they started flying all the way to the moon in the Apollo missions. And then in 69, they finally touched down on the moon. And they ended that space program. It was not entertaining. It was becoming ridiculous. Taking a Jeep to the moon, playing golf on the moon. I'm more inclined to believe the moon is made out of cheese than I am to believe they actually went there. But why would I come to that conclusion? Because the school books said we went to the moon. The politicians say we went to the moon. The teachers say we went to the moon. The historians say we went to the moon. The television and the movies said we went to the moon. So who do you believe? Do you believe your own eyes? Crazy world, my friends. And I love being here. Ooh, man, what are we going to discuss next? Diving Frog says, John, Tim Pool says someone shot at his house. Oh, yes. He's lost 75% of his subscribers. I wonder why. And the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department says no shots were reported. Maybe he did it or it didn't happen at all, says Diving Frog. He needs sympathy clicks. Well, the Sheriff's Department says that Tim Pool refused to release his security cameras. Tim Pool, it is looking like, pulled a Jussie Smollett. He pulled a Bubba Wallace. There's a noose hanging in my garage. And Jussie Smollett, I was attacked and they put a rope on my neck and they told me they're going to kill me. And turned out to be two black Africans that Jussie Smollett paid money to hoax everyone. And Bubba Wallace of NASCAR didn't seem to understand that if you put a loop in a rope, it makes a good pull handle. It's not a noose, you dumb fuck. But now we got Tim Pool. Tim Pool is, well, he's going down. He's going down. And guess what? Social media companies want Tim Pool to be successful because he tells a story that they can get behind. Just like Ben Shapiro, his subscriptions are going down. Why? Because he tells a story that people don't agree with and don't listen to, even though mainstream media, social media, internet companies, tech companies want Ben Shapiro's story to be good. Amazing stuff. It really is. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Now, I heard this report. After the shooting, the alleged shooting at Tim Pool, another social media person said they went to the house. He went to the house and he was greeted at the door by just some regular dude. No security. He was led in the house and sent to a area to just kind of chill, kind of like a green room thing before the show. And then it was time for the show. The guy came back to his door, said, okay, you can go over to the room. Didn't tell him where to go, didn't lead him. No security precautions at all. The guy says he opened the door and one of the other guests or cast members were there naked. He goes, how am I supposed to go on the show? I just saw some guy's dick. Pretty interesting story. He says he went in there, no security. In other words, anybody could have just walked in the house and started shooting people. Does that sound like someone who's a super important social media star who had his house shot at? Doesn't jive, right? Doesn't jive. Everything should make sense. And when it doesn't, you start asking questions. Start asking questions, folks. I recommend it. You may not like the answers you get, but at least you start getting more information. Ooman says, all these media clowns. I told John this morning, not my circus, not my clowns. It's just more bread and circus. It is. A lot of this stuff is out there just to keep us distracted, just to get us excited, just to see your guy win or to see the other guy lose. I got to tell you, I get my entertainment out of it. The Nick Fuentes interview on Piers Morgan's show. Piers, who's supposed to be a Catholic, his wife goes on allegedly, reportedly in newspapers and internet and social media where she's gone for 6 weeks at a time and she likes other men. And so now people are making memes about Piers Morgan for making fun of Nick Fuentes because Nick Fuentes says he's a virgin and he's saving himself for marriage for someone that he loves. And so Piers attacks him over a number of things, but over that. So now the world is attacking Piers Morgan over the fact that his wife is off the leash and is allegedly a giant whore, and putting pictures of her and the guys she's with all over the internet. He made a complete mistake. But I did learn something very valuable, that chair in the corner of hotel rooms, that's called the Piers Morgan chair, so he can sit there and watch other people bang his wife, allegedly. Anyways, yeah, that's that's what I learned today. Folks, I have a sense of humor and I enjoying it. All right, Mr. Uman, we got about 10 minutes left. And tonight, I put on some bad sweater and I go to a fundraiser for Christmas. And I'm going to see people of all political stripes, all political beliefs, all religious beliefs, all gender beliefs, more than likely, and I'll have some fun. So C checks in and says the guy who called the sheriff's department called the wrong sheriff's department. That's interesting. You would think that in an emergency, like someone shooting at your fucking house, you hit 911 and it goes to the correct sheriff's department. I mean, who picks up a phone book and gets a number and hopes it's the right sheriff's department, the right office? Unless it's somebody who researched to get the number, didn't know what the number really called, but just had it in their phone ready for a Jussie Smollett moment. I don't know. That seems more likely to me, a likely explanation than, oh my God, right? Oh, here we go. It said, no, John, it was the one who was trying to verify that shots were fired. No, well, there it is. There it is. There it is. Thank you. See, very good. Very good. Silver today, by the way, folks. Back in, I think, the end of 2016, I saw what silver is, what silver does, how silver is used, and I said, this is crazy. And then I saw banks and what banks were doing and the government was doing and where it was going, and I thought one will protect you from the other. And now today silver went up, shot past $64 before it got knocked down. In fact, it was almost $65 an ounce. Folks, beginning of the week, it was, or a week ago, 5 trading day, it was $48. What's going on? Problems in the system. In fact, hold that thought, Mr. Uman. We'll get right there. It can stay right there. That's good. Good numbers. The report I read was that the federal government loans money to banks overnight to cover their debts that they have. Banks used to borrow from banks for this purpose. So let's just say Bank A has done very well today. He's got lots of money, but Bank B didn't do so good. So they need to borrow money from this bank overnight. And as soon as everything opens up the next day, they'll be able to pay their bills back. It's called the repo market. They would trade or loan each other money at low interest rates. But then in September of 2019, banks all told each other, go fuck yourselves. We're not lending money to each other. So they had to go on banking welfare, something that banks, they had their pride, their egos. We don't need no government money, right? Well, guess what they did? As soon as they couldn't borrow from someone else to save themselves, the government started loaning them money. And they just today, according to the story I read, eliminated the $500 billion overnight repo lending money because they are fucking up that much. Uman says silver closed at $63.98. It topped at $64.72. Wow. And that dropped from $64.72 down to $63.74 is where I believe it hit the bottom. They tried doing a smash down and it went back up 50 cents and it dropped. They had to have it close below the magical number of 64. But it's not the same old game anymore. It's changed, folks. The problems we saw, that we talked about, that I started talking about with you all the way back in December of 2013. And then 2014 and 2015 and 2016, as I was educating myself, watching, learning, and sharing, I thought, oh shit. So if you were fortunate enough to buy silver back when it was $15 an ounce, $20 an ounce, you've more than tripled your value. And silver is not supposed to be an investment vehicle that has a dividend or a return. It's supposed to be a way to protect your money. Turns out that buying gold and silver is a way to, well, increase your value, because we've been lied to about the value of the dollar. And we've been lied to about how much we are valued by corporations and the government. Just like I said way back then, way back in the teens, I said, the inflation is horrible. Inflation is horrible. If you get 8% in your investments in a year, that's supposed to be stellar. But if inflation is 10, 15, or 20%, you're losing money. But if you buy, let's see, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, if you buy some of those items like food and self-defense items, ammunition, guns, but especially food, because that's something we all see. If your food price goes up 10, 20, 30%, but you bought a lot of food as preps, the next year that food has gone up 10, 20, 30%. Sometimes food is doubled year to year. Guess what? That is better than any investment on Wall Street, is it not? Where you're supposed to make 8 or maybe even 10 or 12% and be happy with it. Interest, every year. Well, I think food does a lot better, and silver has done fantastic, and same with gold. All right, running out of time here today. I've enjoyed the living shit out of this. It's been great. It's fun, it's exhilarating, exciting. It's educational, and it's also heartbreaking. But it is the red pill. Mr. Uman, are we got something else you think is important? It's not about Lynn. And she says, we are in SHTF because we have been gorging ourselves in and on social media. If it's not affecting us, we don't realize what they're doing until it's too late. Is it too late? Well, too late for what? Not a bot. Too late for what? It's not too late to wake up. Red pill. Thank you, Uman. It's not too late to wake up. It's not too late to learn. It's not too late to get prepared. It's not too late to understand everyone around us. It's not too late to figure out who the puppet masters are and who their underlings are. They're Obamas, they're Hillarys, they're James Comeys and John Brennans, they're Susan Rices, and they're Speaker of the House Mike Johnson's. By the way, Mike Johnson put on his little kippah. And guess what? So did discount dollar store Obama Hakeem Jeffries. Democrat, Republican, they're supposed to hate each other. Don't worry, it was just to light a menorah that's made out of metal that was recovered from a bomb, explosives. Just what the fuck? It's not too late, but for some things it is too late. It is too late now to vote our way out of trouble. It's too late. It's going to take a lot more than votes. It's going to take waking people up, waking ourselves up, taking action, as well as being prepared with all the things we need to be prepared. It's going to take a lot more than just voting. It's going to take a lot more than just sharing our opinion. We need to do something. Wake people up. Tell them to call their elected representatives. Tell them we're going to hold them accountable when they're in office and when they're out of office. I'm not telling them to be violent, but by golly, violence is going to visit us as surely as Santa Claus is supposed to come visit us. Yeah. No, violence is coming. Violence is a more certain thing. Some things are certain, some things are not. Death is certain. Taxes are certain. Living a good life, living a fulfilling life, understanding reality and not being a dupe your whole life. Those are uncertain and it takes effort. Other things like death and taxes, those are certain and don't take any effort. I tell you what, folks, I'll wish you a good night. Adios, adieu, farewell, so long, auf Wiedersehen, semper fi, and chance favors the prepared mind is yours.
Ho, 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 ho.